Hello students, welcome back. We're going to continue with signal transduction part 11. Let us have a little review of what we did last time. We're starting with a presynaptic nerve ending that we have here, and we're trying to figure out, well, how is the norepinephrine made? And we start with tyrosine. Let's see here. I don't know if I have all of this. Yes, this is, we start out with tyrosine. Tyrosine comes into the cell. We bring our tyrosine inside. Tyrosine comes inside, and then it's acted on by this enzyme, tyrosine hydroxylase, and it adds this 3-hydroxyl here. And so then we make a catecholamine, and that catecholamine is called DOPA. And then DOPA is acted on by an enzyme, DOPA decarboxylase, which removes this carboxyl group, and now we have dopamine. And dopamine is not an amino acid because we've lost the carboxyl group. The dopamine then moves into these vesicles here, into the vesicle. Now we have dopamine in these vesicles. Now we're going to continue the steps to convert dopamine into norepinephrine. Okay, and so let me first tell you, and this is the final step. So I'm going to show you on here what happens. So let's look at. So this compound here is, what's the name of this compound here? This compound. This is dopamine. So what we've done, we've lost the carboxyl group. And now we have dopamine. Now, if we numbered these carbons in an amino acid, or even here, if we use the Greek letter system, this carbon here would be the alpha carbon, because the alpha carbon, if it was an amino acid, it's called the alpha carbon because it's attached to the carboxyl group. But now it's the alpha carbon because it's attached to the amino group. It has the highest priority. So this is the alpha carbon. What carbon would this be right here next to the alpha carbon? So if the first carbon is the alpha carbon, what would the second carbon be? The beta carbon. Okay, so this is going to be the beta carbon. Now we only have one more step to go to make norepinephrine. So as it's drawn here, this is epinephrine. This is dopamine. So all you have to do to make norepinephrine is to remove one of these hydrogens. Well, I'm actually going to draw it like that for now. So I'm going to redraw. I'm going to redraw here. This is dopamine, redrawn. And so to make norepinephrine, all we need to do is to remove the OH, remove the H here, and put an OH. And now this compound is norepinephrine. Now an OH, what's the name of an OH group? It's a hydroxyl group. And so what do we call enzymes that add hydroxyl groups? Okay, let's go back here. Remember, we had tyrosine, and we added a hydroxyl group to make DOPA. What was the name of that enzyme? Tyrosine hydroxylase. So enzymes that add hydroxyl groups are called hydroxylases. Make sense? Okay. Now let's go over here. We started out with dopamine, and now we've added a hydroxyl group to dopamine. What should be the name of this enzyme? Dopamine hydroxylase. Exactly. But we could have added it in several places. It turns out that there are some hydroxylases that could add the hydroxyl group at the alpha carbon. And so to distinguish between that one, we don't just simply call this enzyme dopamine hydroxylase. We call it what? Dopamine beta hydroxylase. Make sense? Excellent. And so there's the very last step. We're going to convert dopamine into norepinephrine, and the enzyme that does that is going to be dopamine beta hydroxylase. That happens in the vesicle. That last step happens inside the vesicle. Okay. Let's go back here. Oops. And so here, to convert dopamine into norepinephrine, we added a hydroxyl onto the beta carbon. And so the enzyme that does that is dopamine beta hydroxylase, to differentiate it from dopamine alpha hydroxylase. Everyone okay with that? So now all I did here was just show you where that happens in the vesicle. Dopamine is converted to norepinephrine using the enzyme dopamine beta hydroxylase. Everybody okay with that? Now let's get this epinephrine, this norepinephrine, to do something for us. So what's going to happen here? I'm going to have to leave it all on the same slide here. Let's see if I can grab. I think there's a way to do this. Okay, I'm going to grab all of this here because I need this whole vesicle here. I think I can. I think I can copy all of this merged. Copy all of that merged. I think. No, I can't do that because that's not going to work. Wish I could do that. So everything is in a different place. That's going to... Let me see if I can do something quickly, you all. Okay, I think this is it. I think this is going to be everybody. And that's going to be great if it is. Okay, great. Here's my vesicle. Now, what's going to happen? This entire vesicle that's filled with norepinephrine, it's going to move. It's going to move to the membrane. And then it's going to like fuse with that membrane. And so when it gets to the membrane, what's going to happen? We're going to zoom into this area right here. Going to kind of show you what happens here. So this vesicle here is going to kind of fuse with the membrane right here. It's going to fuse with the membrane. And then the membrane itself is going to kind of fuse with the vesicle. They're going to like become like one here. Okay. And then when that happens, when this vesicle and this membrane fuse together, then what's going to come out? Exactly. And so the thing that's going to come out is going to be your norepinephrine. Okay. And so what is this norepinephrine going to do now that it's out? What is the norepinephrine? Once the norepinephrine comes out of the nerve ending, what is it going to do? It's going to bind to the beta-1 adrenergic receptor. Then when it binds to that receptor, the G protein is going to be activated. Then you're going to get adenylyl cyclase. You're going to get elevated calcium. Then the heart is going to beat more strongly. Make sense? So now what's going to happen, this is going to fuse, and then once it releases its norepinephrine, it's going to go back now. Now it's going to go back. Right. And so once that binds, so what's going to happen here, let's see if we can get the three of these again. Nope, I want this one. Yes. Let's see, is that it? I hope this is it. Yes. Then it's going to come back. The vesicle is going to come back. And then everything else is going to just close back up. And so now your membrane is going to reclose, and then your vesicle is going to close back up. And now you just have your norepinephrine out here. Now, do you want the norepinephrine to just stay on that membrane forever and just continually to activate your heart? You don't want that to happen, because then that would kill you, because then you would have ischemia of the heart because it's trying to beat your heart. And so what's going to happen to this norepinephrine? Do you think it's going to be something needs to destroy it? Oh, there are two choices. I'll ask you. There are two choices. Either this norepinephrine is going to be destroyed out here, or this norepinephrine can come back in here. Which one do you think is going to happen? It's going to be degraded. Okay, one person says degraded. No, it would just be destroyed. Or so I had one for degraded. Anybody for coming back? Okay, very good. Actually, most of it actually comes back inside. Most of it is recycled, because norepinephrine is a very valuable chemical, and you don't want it to be destroyed. But a little of it is destroyed. Okay, that's what I'm going to explain to you right now. To get it back in, you're going to have. Oops, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, to get it back in, you're going to have a little channel here. You're going to have a little transporter for norepinephrine, and this norepinephrine is going to now the norepinephrine is going to come through that channel, and it's going to come back into the cell. Actually, I need to make a copy of this, because it's going to come back and go into the cell. You're going to have norepinephrine in there. But now, there is an enzyme. There's an enzyme that's in this cell that wants to destroy. It hates norepinephrine. This enzyme hates norepinephrine, and it wants to kill the norepinephrine. Okay. And this enzyme that actually kills the norepinephrine, so it converts the norepinephrine to dead. To dead norepinephrine. It destroys it. And that enzyme is called monoamine oxidase. M-A-O. Monoamine oxidase destroys the norepinephrine, so you can't use it anymore. Oxidase. I guess I should write that here. Monoamine oxidase. The monoamine oxidase destroys the norepinephrine. Some of the norepinephrine, however, is not killed. Some of it lives, and it goes back into the vesicles to be reused for next time. Now, what about this norepinephrine that's out here? This norepinephrine that's on the outside can also be destroyed. this norepinephrine out here can be converted into dead norepinephrine. And the enzyme out here is called catechol O-methyl transferase. COMT. I guess I should give you the name, because if I don't, somebody will ask me. CATECHOL. It's a catechol. What makes something a catechol? What is a catechol? Guess you don't want to think about those things right now. O-methyl transferase. So that's how we get rid of the norepinephrine, so it won't continue to activate our heart, or whatever the tissue is. It doesn't have to be the heart. It could be any tissue. And then the process just goes over and over again. And then your nerve ending just waits for another impulse, another signal from your brain. And your brain, let's say a dog is after you, and your brain says there's a dog after this person. And so the brain tells this neuron, release norepinephrine. Then you release norepinephrine. The tyrosine is converted into norepinephrine. The vesicles fuse with the membrane, release the norepinephrine. It goes onto your heart, to your heart cells. Then your heart beats more strongly. Then once that passes, your brain says, okay, stop making norepinephrine. Stops making norepinephrine. And then the norepinephrine that's outside, some of it is destroyed, some of it is recycled. And when we come back next time, we'll figure out, well, what kind of drugs can we use to keep the norepinephrine in these nerve endings longer? Because if you're sad, you're not going to have a lot of norepinephrine. But to make people happy, they give them drugs to block these enzymes. And we'll talk about that next time. Any questions? Have a great day, you all.